All right, y'all. Welcome to LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Ryan, here with my brother Matthew. And the Dodgers are heading to New York after game two of the NLCS, tied 1-1. First game, second game, different vibes. But honestly, I think compared to at least the Padres series, where losing the second game in that series, just it felt like the energy felt really bad. I'm still feeling incredibly confident, honestly, in the abilities of the Dodgers to win this series. But with that context in mind, Matt, let's look at the outlook. We can talk about what happened before. Take this anywhere you want. How are we feeling going into game three?
Yeah, I agree. I feel good. Game one, real quickly, it was just perfection. Went to perfection. Flaherty, 7 innings, shutty, perfect. That's an ace performance. That's what we're gonna need out of him, being really like the one starter that we fully trust in. Yoshi, we trust in, but he hasn't. He's not at full health yet. Bueller, we don't really know what we're gonna get. So Flaherty, massive game for him. The offense looked like the Dodger offense when they can perform. What makes them so scary is you got the MVPs, you got power in the middle, and you got guys like Edman, who's fast, can bunt, can get hits. Lux, who's bat to ball, and Kike is a October hero. So explosive lineup, explosive starter. It went to perfection. Game two, I think what Dodger fans need to understand is this isn't a team that's going to sweep anybody, and that's because the starting pitching is depleted. So game to game, there's going to be games that are advantage Dodgers and advantage Mets. And the first one obviously was advantage Dodgers. It was our ace versus a hurt Senga, who they still keep pitching for some reason. So obviously Dodgers got to win that. We had it. This one was Manea, who really I think is the Mets' best pitcher right now against Knack or slash bullpen game. And so this isn't the end of the world for the Dodgers. So I still feel confident because what you have now is you got three starters lined up for game three, four, and five, and a fully rested bullpen. So I share the confidence with you with their ability to win this series, especially because you were against the wall, down 2-1 in San Diego against a better team in a 5 game series, and you managed to pull that one out. This one, you got more room, you got 7 games, and you're still in a pretty good spot. But you know, we're both confident. To me, there were three things that worried me in this game. Number one, obviously Knack's performance. We don't have a four starter, and for this series specifically, there's two slots. This is game two. The same thing's gonna have to happen in game six. I don't know what we're gonna do. That's a legit problem, considering how Knack pitched, and especially the problem when we don't have Vesia. So we have about five relievers we trust, and you got to get 9 innings. So that's going to be a real problem. Second problem was the lineup in the late innings. I'm not even mad at the first five against Manaya. I think Manaya just had our number, and that's a really tough angle. He pitches really funky, so that can be tough on a lineup. But they kind of went back to the old Dodger ways of not capitalizing. That Kike double play was rough, and just late innings not hitting with runners in scoring position. That really scared me. We got to change that. We've been so good so far in the Padres series in game one. We got to bounce back from that. And the third and final one's kind of a weird one. Shohei's got to do a better job setting the table. He's been like god awful with runners not on base, and he's our leadoff hitter, and he stole 50 bases this year. So Shohei, you got to improve. You got to set the table for us. But yeah, overall, I do feel confident. Game one was great, but I do share those three concerns.
Yeah, I to look back a little bit, that would also addresses your fourth starter point. I think the only mistake Dave Roberts has made in this entire playoffs was today. And of course, it's hindsight because Nat gave up 4 runs in 2 innings, and I wasn't expecting that. But you said our bullpen is rested, which is completely true because Phillips, Kopech, and Trinan did not throw one pitch in these first two games. If you're going to a bullpen game, I don't get why you wouldn't throw guys you trust. I don't think Knack is bad, and he needed to throw at some point today for sure. But Brazier already gave up a run, and you're going into the middle of the lineup with Knack, who just he's I don't. It just feels like a weird runway to go so early because that was the biggest risk of of a blow up inning that could force your offense into chase mode. Knack was the only pitcher on the roster that was supposed to throw in like a winning effort that could give you that issue. I would have very much preferred if they saved Knack for like the fifth or sixth inning, and maybe you can stretch him to 4 or 5 out. Like if you go into a bullpen game and you don't use any of your good bullpen pieces, I think that's an issue. But I'm not going to belabor that point. It's just if we do that again, I'm not expecting any bulk innings from anybody. You need to pitch. Like if you need to save one guy for a closing effort, like if it's Trinan or something, sure. But otherwise, pitch as if you're winning the game by one at all times. I don't need like some okay, let's try to get length here. It's the playoffs. Just win the game. Anyway, I am con- I was upset as all Dodger fans were with the hitting efforts today, but at the same time, you can say that the Mets kind of got away with a lot of stuff because their pitchers were not sharp, and we were every single one of their important bullpen guys, which is not very many because their bullpen's not the biggest strength, had runners on. So I think it was good to at least force up come back in the game enough to force them to show their biggest arms. I think that's a positive. And yeah, we have for the first time, I think all playoffs, maybe for the first time in a long time for this team, I'm pretty sure the next 3 games are all slated to have a real starter. Pretty sure it's Walker, Yamamoto, and then Flaherty again for 5. So this is a time to take advantage of it. I think we will probably end up playing 6 or 7 games. I don't care if it comes back. There's no way in the world we're getting swept these next 3 games in New York. So I again, it's not a nerve thing to me because it just we gotta capitalize and not make so many mistakes. The fielding was okay. It's the Mets actually made a lot of mistakes. I don't know. We just didn't capitalize enough, and it kind of felt like a throwback to previous playoff times. But I'm not feeling that same dread. I'm feeling pretty good still.
Yeah, you're exactly right about the knack thing. That was just weird. Like I feel it, like you said, a bullpen game where your best guy is in the pitch, and it was just like why not just start him if you're gonna throw him in the second inning? I don't understand that. I think you Brazier gets the top obviously in the first, then use another good guy to get the top of the lineup, which would probably be the third inning. Then maybe you run Knack out there. Brazier gave up the run. You can't afford a blow up inning. If their blow up inning happens, the game's essentially over, and you put the worst guy we could have had there. It was stupid, but I mean, like you said, the bullpen arms are rested. I think the last thing I'll say is game three. Game three is interesting to me because in my opinion, the Dodgers have to win this mini 3-game series in New York. They got to go 2-1
I agree.
to put themselves in a really good spot. But game 3 technically could be advantage Mets if you look on it like from the outside. It's probably going to be Sevy going, who they like a lot, and Bueller is of the 3 our worst pitcher. So if you win game 3, which is very possible, honestly probably likely, you put the Mets in a really really tough position up 2-1, and then you got Yamamoto and Flaherty, your 2 best starters. And by the way, like I said, Kodai Senga is going to get game 5 against our ace. So if you win game 3, that's like a must win for the Mets. So if you get game 3, they're really in trouble.
Yeah, I was just looking up. It is going to be Sevy. So yeah, I don't know. It is such a weird feeling that like I feel completely calm. Honestly, I think it's partly because it was a day game and the crowd actually showed out, which I appreciate. I was a little worried about that. But just day playoff baseball doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel like baseball. It doesn't feel like playoff baseball. It feels like a Sunday afternoon where it's like, oh, okay, whatever. So maybe that's why like the vibes aren't like if it was a late night time where we're eating dinner around the like and watching, and they blew 3 straight innings of having runners on scoring position, maybe I'd be a lot more upset. But now it just feels like, okay, we know we messed up. We know we had to come through, but we put a lot of pressure on. Every single one of their leverage guys had runners on base against them. So I'm feeling like if you make an adjustment, if we don't have a defensive blow up, Walker wouldn't have nearly the terrible line he was. He looked fine, and I trust in him to do that again. At least keep us in a position to win. Because Severino has really electric stuff, but he has more hits than innings pitched given up in this playoffs alone. He has 10 innings pitched and 14 hits. I just looked that up. Like he's very touchable and he can get frazzled. Even though I do like him, it's just we're in a good position. I think that's the best way to put it. We still control a lot. I completely agree. If we win game 3, an unbelievable amount of pressure goes on the Mets because they don't even have a starter for listed for game 4. They're undecided. now, and so it's gonna be a lot. They're gonna have to make a lot of decisions, but game three is the most important. You got anything else before we get out of here?
Last thing is just for the starters. The only way we lose to me is blow up innings. That game that was against the Padres that was on the defense. This Nat Grand Slam. That's the way we're gonna lose. The offense is too good. Just get outs, Bueller. I don't care if you give up 3 runs in 5 innings. You don't get a single strikeout. Just we can't have blow up innings.
Yeah, just keep the game within striking distance, because even in a game that honestly kind of felt dead as soon as Nat gave up that grand slam, it still was within a swing 3 times in the late innings. Like the offense will get there, even if it feels really unconventional and clunky. They're gonna have a chance. So as long as Walker keeps us in it, even Yama and Flaherty when he comes back around, like it'll be there for us. We just need to just limit blow up innings 100%. I agree with you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this short little video. We'll be back with more Dodger content, more LA sports content in general. Thanks so much for watching. Be back soon. Peace.